Alright, let's be honest. You've got that one lure, the one with the perfect paint job. Maybe it's a firetiger crankbait or a red craw jig. It's your confidence bait. Now what if I told you that as soon as that lure sinks more than 10 feet in winter water, it's basically invisible? Or worse, it turns into a dull, muddy grey blob that no self-respecting base would even look at. Today, we're not talking about opinions or what Grandpa used to say. We're talking about straight-up physics. We're going to expose the hard truth about which lure colors actually work in deep, cold water and which ones are just wasting your time. Stick around, because what you learn today might be the real reason you're not getting bites. So I gotta ask, what color are you throwing right now that you think is a killer? Let me know, and let's see if it holds up. For generations, we've picked our lures based on what looks good to us, right here in the boat. We see a flashy pattern, it catches our eye, and we think, a fish has got to eat that. We have success with it once or twice, and boom, it becomes the magic lure. This is the confidence trap. We stick with what we believe works, without ever questioning the science behind it. But winter fishing is a different beast entirely. The sun is at a lower angle, the water is often clearer, or sometimes more stained from runoff, and the fish are holding deep. They aren't going to chase something 50 feet. You have to put the lure right on their nose, and if they can't even see the color you're so proud of, you're just practicing your casting. It's time to stop thinking like a fisherman standing on the shore and start thinking about what the fish actually sees down in the dark. First things first, let's go back to basics. Remember that rainbow from science class? Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Light from the sun contains all of these colors. The color of an object, like your lure, is determined by which of these colors it reflects back to your eye. A red lure looks red because it absorbs all the other colors and reflects red light. A white lure reflects all the colors. A black lure absorbs all of them. This seems simple, but it's the absolute foundation for understanding why your tackle box is probably full of lies, especially for winter fishing. Imagine you're at the tackle shop, the bright fluorescent lights making every color pop. It's a perfect illusion that has nothing to do with reality 20 feet under the ice. Now, think of water as a giant filter. It's not perfectly clear, even when it looks like it is. It's full of particles, algae, and minerals. As sunlight travels through the water, this filter starts to strip away colors from the light spectrum. The key thing to understand is that it doesn't filter them all out equally. Some colors get absorbed and disappear much faster than others. The deeper your lure goes, the more colors are stripped away from the light that's available to even hit your lure and reflect back to a fish's eye. Every foot of depth changes the game. It's like the water is slowly turning down the color saturation knob on your TV, but it's doing it one color at a time, starting with the ones you probably love the most. Let's talk about the first victim, red. Red has the longest wavelength in the visible spectrum, and because of that, it's the first color to be absorbed by water. That beautiful bloody red craw pattern on your jig, it starts to lose its pop almost immediately. By the time it's 10 to 15 feet down, it's no longer red. To a fish, it appears as a dull, dark grey, or even black. You think you're showing them a wounded baitfish, but what they see is just a dark, lifeless shape. Imagine you're out on a clear winter day, fishing a drop-off in 20 feet of water. You drop that expensive, custom-painted red crankbait down there, and you might as well be fishing with a rock. It has lost all of its visual appeal. Next on the chopping block is orange. Orange holds up a little better than red, but not by much. It follows the same rule. It's one of the next colors to get filtered out by the water column. That classic orange belly on a shad pattern crankbait, the one you think gives it that extra flash, it fades out fast. In moderately clear water, you might get 20 feet out of it before it turns into a brownish, muted yellow-gray. In stained winter water, it might be gone in less than 10. So, if you're targeting walleye or bass suspended in that 25 to 30 foot zone, your bright safety orange lure is anything but bright. It's just another nondescript item in the gloom. Now we get to yellow, and its loud-mouthed cousin, chartreuse. This is where things get interesting, and it explains why chartreuse is such a popular color. Yellow has a shorter wavelength than red or orange, which means it penetrates water much more effectively. it can remain visible and vibrant at much greater depths. This is why a chartreuse jig head or tail can be a killer in deeper or dirtier water. It's still a visible, bright color when others have already faded to black. But even chartreuse has its limits. In very deep or heavily stained water, it too will eventually fade away, but it gives you a much better fighting chance than the warm end of the spectrum. It's a workhorse for a reason, but it's not invincible. Moving down the spectrum, we arrive at green. Green penetrates water even better than yellow. This makes perfect sense when you think about it. Many bodies of water have a greenish tint due to algae and phytoplankton. These particles reflect green light, so the dominant ambient light deep in the water is often green. A green lure, like a watermelon or pumpkin seed plastic, looks incredibly natural in this environment because it's reflecting the color that is most available. It doesn't look alien, it blends in while still being visible. It can maintain its color at significant depths, making it a fantastic choice for deep water presentations where you want a more subtle, natural look that won't spook finicky fish. And now for the undisputed champions of the deep, blue and violet. These colors have the shortest wavelengths in the visible spectrum, and as a result, they penetrate the deepest into the water column. In very clear deep water, blue is often the very last color to disappear. This is why deep oceans look blue. It's the only color of light left to be reflected back. A blue jig, a purple worm, or a crankbait with a blue back can remain visible and hold its true color at depths where almost everything else has turned to gray. It's funny, we fishermen don't use a lot of straight blue or purple lures, maybe because they don't look as flashy to us in the store, but for fish living in the deep, it's one of the few colors they can actually see. This brings us to the myth of natural patterns. We spend a fortune on lures with hyper-realistic perch, bluegill, or shad paint jobs. They look incredible in our hands, but what do they look like 30 feet down? Let's take that perch pattern. The orange on its fins is gone, the yellow on its belly has faded, the dark green and black bars, they're still there. So what the fish sees is not a perch. It sees a grayish lure with dark stripes. The entire expensive paint job has been reduced to a simple high-contrast pattern. You didn't need the $20 lure, you just needed a lure with dark stripes on a lighter body. You're paying for art that the fish will never see. So where does white fit into all this? This is a great question. White is not technically a color in the spectrum. An object is white because it reflects all wavelengths of light equally. So, its appearance deep in the water depends entirely on what color of light is available. In the upper water column, it will look bright white. Go deeper, where red and orange are gone, and it will start to take on a greenish or bluish tint. But here's the key. It remains a bright object. It reflects whatever light is available, making it stand out against the darker background. It's a highly visible silhouette, which is often all you need. A simple white grub or swim bait can be one of the most effective deep water baits for this very reason. On the opposite end, we have the unseen hero, black. Just like white, black isn't on the color spectrum. A black lure works by absorbing all wavelengths of light. This means it doesn't rely on reflecting a certain color to be seen. Its power is in its silhouette. Imagine a base sitting deep, looking up towards the brighter surface. A black lure passing overhead will create the sharpest, most defined, and most visible profile possible. It doesn't fade, it doesn't change color. It's just a pure dark shape. In muddy water or low light conditions like dawn or dusk, or in the extreme deep, nothing stands out better than a pure black jig or plastic worm. Sometimes the absence of color is the most powerful tool you have. If you take only one thing away from this video, let it be this: contrast is king. Forget about subtle shades of green or hyper-realistic crawl patterns. In deep or stained winter water, what the fish is really seeing is the difference between light and dark. This is why a simple two-tone lure is often so effective. A black and blue jig, the dark back and light belly of a crankbait, a laminate worm with a dark top and a light bottom. These patterns create a flashing effect as the lure moves. Light, dark, light, dark. This flickering contrast triggers a predatory response far more effectively than a specific fancy color that the fish can't even perceive at that depth. Start thinking in terms of contrast, not color. Okay, just when you thought you had it all figured out, Let's add a new layer, ultraviolet light, or UV. UV light is invisible to the human eye, but it penetrates water much deeper than most colors in the visible spectrum, even on cloudy days. Here's the kicker. Many species of fish, including bass and walleye, can see into the UV spectrum. It's a channel of light that they can see, and we can't. This is a massive game changer. Suddenly, there's a whole new world of visibility that we've been completely blind to. A lure that looks dull to us might be glowing like a neon sign to a fish, if it's treated with UV reflective paint or plastic. So, what exactly is a UV lure? It's important to understand this isn't the same as a glow-in-the-dark lure. Glow lures need to be charged with a bright light, and then they emit their own light for a short time. UV lures work differently. They don't create their own light. Instead, they contain pigments that take the ambient, invisible UV light that's present in the water and reflect it back as a visible color that fish can see. Think of it like a blacklight poster. In a normal room, it's just a poster. Turn on a blacklight, and certain colors pop like crazy. A UV lure does the same thing, using the sun's natural UV rays as its blacklight. So, when should you use UV lures? They are most effective in low light conditions, where fish rely more heavily on the light spectrums we can't see. This means early in the morning, late in the evening, on heavily overcast winter days, or in deep water. When visible light is scarce, UV light is still present. A UV-enhanced lure can cut through the gloom and announce its presence in a way that a standard color lure simply cannot. It can be the difference between a fish completely ignoring your bait and swimming over to investigate that bright, unnatural glow it's seeing. It's like adding a secret weapon to your arsenal that works best when conditions are worst. Now, let's tie all this information together with the most critical variable, water clarity. The speed at which colors disappear is 100% dependent on what's in the water. In a crystal clear spring-fed lake in the middle of winter, light penetration is excellent. Your colors will hold their own to much greater depths. You might still see blue and green at 40 or 50 feet. But in a river that's stained the color of tea from leaves and tannins, or murky from melting snow, that whole process is massively accelerated. Red might be gone in 2 feet. Yellow might be gone in 10. Understanding your water clarity is just as important as understanding your depth. Let's run through a practical scenario. It's a bright, sunny January day, and you're fishing a clear gravel pit. The fish are holding on a ledge in 30 feet of water. What do you throw? Forget the red, forget the orange. They are useless here. This is the perfect time for colors on the deep end of the spectrum. A jig in a deep blue or purple, a drop-shot worm in a subtle green pumpkin, or a pure white swim bait to create a bright flashing silhouette that imitates a dying baitfish. In this clear water, a super aggressive loud color might even spook the fish. You need colors that work at that depth, and here that means blue, green, white, and black. Now for scenario 2. It's a cloudy, miserable February day. You're fishing a stained river, and the fish are holding in a current break about 15 feet deep. Light penetration is terrible. Your fancy multicolored lures are completely worthless. This is a situation that screams for one of two things: maximum contrast or a completely different sense. Your best bet is a pure black lure to create the hardest possible silhouette, or this is a prime time to try a lure with a strong UV finish. Alternatively, you could switch tactics entirely and use a rattling bait or a blade bait that appeals to the fish's lateral line through vibration, since their vision is already so compromised. This brings us back to the firetiger paradox. For decades, firetiger has been a go-to color, and guys swear by it. So if red and orange disappear, why does it still catch fish deep? The answer is simple. It works despite its colors, not because of them. At 20 feet, the red and orange are gone. What's left? The intensely bright chartreuse against the jet black stripes. It has become the ultimate high contrast pattern. It creates an aggressive, flickering flash that triggers strikes. Anglers think the fish are keying in on the whole pattern, but in reality, the fish are just seeing a flashing light and dark object. The success of firetiger is the ultimate proof that contrast is king. It's time to rethink your tackle box. We all do it. We organize our crankbaits by color, putting all the reds together, all the blues together. This is the wrong way to think. You should be organizing your box by application. Create a shallow water or clear water box with your more realistic multicolored patterns. Then create a deep water or stained water box. This box should be filled with simple, bold, high contrast lures, black, white, black and blue, lures with a strong UV finish. When you get to the lake and assess the depth and clarity, you can grab the right box for the job, built on science, not on guesswork. Your lure selection will become faster, smarter, and way more effective. Finally, let's address the most powerful factor in all of fishing: confidence. I know some of you are thinking, my lucky red lure works, I don't care what science says. And you're not wrong. A lure you have confidence in is one you will fish slower, more carefully, and more effectively. But my goal here isn't to take away your confidence lure. It's to give you a new, more powerful confidence, one that's based on understanding why something works. When you tie on a black jig in murky water, you'll now do it with the absolute certainty that you are presenting the most visible object possible. This scientific confidence is what separates consistently successful anglers from guys who just get lucky once in a while. So, let's bring it all home. For years, we've been caught up in a color arms race, buying lures that look amazing to our human eyes under bright store lights. The big takeaway, the oh wow moment here, is that in the deep dark world where winter fish live, most of that is pure fantasy. Color is the first sense to go. Your favorite multicolored lure is likely just a muted grey blob 30 feet down. The real killers in the deep are much simpler. The stark silhouette of black, the bright reflection of white, the deep penetrating power of blue and green, and the secret flash of UV. It all boils down to contrast. This should fundamentally change how you approach your tackle box. You can stop guessing and start making informed choices based on depth and water clarity. You'll probably save some money too. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this deep dive. If this blew your mind a little bit, do me a favor and hit that like button, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss more videos that cut through the noise. Now, for the real discussion, after hearing all this, what is the one lure in your box that you now realize is probably not working the way you thought it was? Drop it in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious to hear about it.